Hey there. Welcome to Discover the Divine You. My name is Kimberly Nicole. Right now I'm on a journey to figure out who the real Kimberly Nicole is, who I was divinely created to be. So I created this podcast in hopes others could benefit from what I'm learning and the different ways I'm connecting with a higher power. I created this space for honest conversations about healing, creativity, spiritual growth, and learning to reconnect with myself while living presently in my life. I'm a mom of 3. I have a job. I'm in 12-step recovery. Real life happens every day. So this is a space of no pressure, no expectations, no perfection, just progress. A journey towards finding peace, clarity, and connection to something bigger than ourselves, going from chaos to calm. So here we go. I'm so glad you're here to take this journey with me. Let's get creative. Episode 18, Snooze Fest. Hello. Welcome back to Discover the Divine You. I'm Kimberly Nicole. And today's 90 and 90 is about honesty. And honestly, I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. And that's okay. It's okay to be tired sometimes, especially when you're doing hard work. Because there's a lot of energy that goes into doing hard things and being a mom and being in recovery and being a wife and a human and creating content and running a business and just living life on life's terms. And I apologize in advance if this episode is a snooze fest, but I wanted to get on here and talk about honesty because it's so important. And I want to talk about different kinds of honesty. We often hear brutal honesty, rigorous honesty is a big one in program. And, like kids say the darndest things and stuff like that. I don't love the idea of brutal honesty, if I'm being completely honest, because I just think that it is not helpful or productive. I feel like it can be abusive, it could be hurtful, and it can be just not helpful. And I'm 100% on board with being honest. However, I feel there's a way to say what you mean without being mean. And there's a way to be rigorously honest without hurting yourself. Brutal honesty can just turn into like self-harm real quick. And it can also turn into toxic, abusive, verbal behavior, and it needs to be loving and kind and have a purpose. Because if you say what you mean with love and compassion, it is so much more powerful than if you are to say it in a really coarse, aggressive manner. I mean, how often have you been yelled at or criticized and you don't remember you don't remember much of what they say, but you remember all of how you feel or felt in that moment. And then we dwell on those things, and then we hurt ourselves over and over and over because it turns into resentment. And resentment's like literally re-injuring yourself over and over again. We don't want that. So I vote rigorous honesty. That's my jam. And it's a fine line between rigorous and brutal sometimes, because you have to tell yourself hard things or be open to hearing hard things if you really want change. And for me, it's sometimes really scary, to be honest, especially with my husband, with my family members, with my children. It's so easy for me to be honest with people in 12 steps because I know that they get it. I know that they get it. I know that they're not there to judge me. I know that they're just there to be of service. And for us in 12 steps, being of service is listening to people's deep, dark secrets. And, a blessing that God gives you when you decide to be a sponsor and to be of service and to take a 10th step or listen to a 4th, 5th step. Like you are blessed with this mantle, I believe, to where you can carry the burdens of your fellows, and in turn, God takes those burdens from you. So I very rarely remember anything people hand over to me when they're being honest in their inventories. It's very rare that I ever remember any of them unless God reminds me of it to use it as a way to help someone else. So it's just so takes away all the fear, of being judged and hurt again by other people. Like it's not like giving them ammunition to use against you later when you're in program. It's a wonderful, loving, open relationship with your higher power and this could be complete stranger. Because there's a lot of times that meetings are filled with people I don't know. Or I take a 10th step from someone I've never met. Or I give one over to someone I've never met. And I often work my steps annually with a different sponsor every time. And sometimes that's like a one and done thing. Like we just work the steps together and then see you later. Like we use each other as outreach or something, but we don't talk often. So I can be honest with them because I'm never going to see them again, or they live across the country or in another state or whatever. So most of the meetings I go to are all online, so I don't have to see anyone in person. I don't have to worry about that. But being honest with people that are right in front of you, that you see all the time, that is difficult. And I think that practicing being honest with myself and my higher power is the best way for me to be able to honestly say things out loud without worrying about how people are going to react or think. Because if I'm like solid in who I am and how I'm living my life, and I'm connected with my higher power in a way that we're just like super connected, like intermingled, meshed, whatever we are, he's in me, I'm in him kind of a vibe. Like we're just part of each other. I don't have to worry about what anybody else thinks because their opinion doesn't really matter to me. And when I'm honest with people, I can say it in a kind way. And I can also be honest without saying anything at all. I think that is a very nuanced form of honesty because sometimes you don't have to say anything. People can even ask you questions and you can just like pause for a second. And as you're pausing, their own higher power will give them the answers. And that happens with my children all the time. I'll answer their question with a question and then their own higher power will answer for them. And it's just like so cool to watch. And there's people in my life that I love very much who I've had to be rigorously honest with. And I was terrified because I thought as soon as I tell them how I'm feeling and that I need to set this boundary, they're going to leave. They're never going to talk to me again. And I'm going to be alone again. And sometimes that is the case. Sometimes they leave. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes they stay and they're so grateful that I told them how I felt. They're so happy that I love them enough to tell them the truth. And I would feel the same. Like when someone comes to me, I'd much rather have an uncomfortable conversation for 5 minutes than wonder for years if I hurt them or made them feel uncomfortable or whatever. I'd rather them come to me and say, hey, you did this. It felt like this. I'd prefer if that, didn't happen again. Then I'm aware. Like I can't change things or take things back, but I can make sure moving forward that I do my very best not to hurt someone in the future. And I also think it's important to acknowledge the fact that sometimes my honesty is going to make other people feel uncomfortable. And that's okay. Like I said the other day, it's okay for people to not feel okay when I do what I need to do to feel okay. Because their stuff's not always going to align with mine. And some people aren't ready to hear real truth. Some people aren't ready for feelings. They're not ready for like authentic relationships. And that's okay. Maybe one day they will be. Maybe one day we'll be super tight. Maybe we never will. But we were in each other's lives for a reason and a season. And we learned something from one another, hopefully. And about ourselves. And I think that's really what this is all about, is discovering the divine versions of ourselves, right? Sometimes we need other people's perspectives to help us do that, because they see things differently than we do. We're all in the muck. We're in the thick of it. And sometimes our coping mechanisms and our defaults to protect ourselves we can't see that they're harming us because they've just always been there. And so having the ability to be honest with someone, and then also being honest with myself, that like, ooh, when someone's honest with me, being okay enough to accept it and listen lovingly without getting defensive and reactive, but really like, okay, if the roles were reversed and someone was coming to me with honesty, how would I react? And if I was going to someone with honesty, how would I want them to react? I wouldn't want them to react, actually. I would want them to respond, right? So I think it's really important to show by example, because you can say what you mean without being mean. And when I get triggered and I'm in a place where I want to just scream and rage and lash out, like I did the other day when someone was trying to like force me to do something I was not prepared to do, I can quiet myself. I have this little thing I do where I close my eyes and I breathe and I picture myself just in this like dome or bubble, if you will. And it's just me and my higher power. And I can still see what's going on around me. The people that were attempting to hurt me or help me, but really were just being judgmental or criticizing, I just picture them all on the outside of that bubble. And then it just gets real muffled. And it's like, right? I can still hear what's going on, but I don't have to listen. Instead, I just breathe slowly. I connect with my higher power. I remember that only his opinion matters, and my opinion matters, and other people's opinions and judgments, they don't have to become mine. And I just breathe with higher power until I let go of whatever is irritating or triggering. And then I have to be honest with myself, like, okay, there is something here. They hit a switch that flipped something on that I don't like. And now, what a blessing, they flipped it, so I'm aware of it. So now I can start to heal. So then I start, internally thanking these people for flipping that switch and giving me the opportunity to see where I'm still not free. I'm still trapped. I'm still weighed down by whatever this trigger is. And then I can start healing. And sometimes that means after I get out of my bubble and I calm down, sometimes I'm guided to walk out of the room. Sometimes I'm guided to say something. Sometimes I'm just guided to sit quietly and listen and then get up and leave. That I will never again stay in a situation where I will be verbally abused ever again. Ever again. And I will do everything in my power to make sure that I am not the verbal abuser either. Because there are so many memories I have of myself just fully reacting and going, completely off the rails and becoming monster mommy is what I called it. And I'm not that person. I never was that person. But I chose to believe other people when they said that I was. And then I started finding proof of it. And today I have no desire to do that. So, honesty. I mean, yesterday we talked about courage, and it's so brave to be honest. It takes courage to be honest. And tomorrow we're going to talk about open-mindedness, which you have to have if you're going to be honest. So I think it's really just proof that higher power is in charge, because all of these lists of topics that I put down for our 90 and 90, they all work together. They all have to happen in a certain order too. The order is all higher power driven. And, I just sat down and I was willing to be a conduit, and man, I'm learning so much about myself. And the honesty can be exhausting. It can be tiring, but it is so powerful. And it connects me to my higher power in a way that nothing else can. So I challenge everybody to be honest today. Maybe not out loud to anyone else, but to your higher power, to yourself. What's a truth that's kind that you can say about yourself? And if you feel like sharing, I would love to hear your answer. And with that, I will leave you with my regular challenge to go do something creative for yourself and with people that you love. And I will see you tomorrow. Hey, thanks so much for being here today. You're my favorite. I'm so glad you came. I know life is busy, so I really do appreciate the time you're taking to do some self-care and hang out with me for a little bit. If something that we talked about today resonated with you and you want to dig a little deeper, I put together a 5-minute creative reset guide called Chaos to Calm that you can access in the show's description. And I would be so grateful if you'd subscribe and share this podcast with someone out there that you think could benefit from what we're creating here together. Also, remember, I am just sharing my experience, strength, and hope as I understand it here. So if bigger emotions come up, please take care of yourself and reach out to a licensed professional or someone that you trust for support. You are not alone in this. So until we create together again, please be kind to yourself and do something creative because you deserve it.